Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Ryan Rigney. In this video, I'm going to be doing a start to finish Amazon pay-per-click training. So whether you're a beginner or more on the intermediate or advanced side, I have something for everyone in here. So this will take you from knowing nothing to being proficient. The strategies I'm going to talk about here are the same ones I've used to sell over $500,000 just directly attributed to pay-per-click in the last 6 months alone. That's just pay-per-click. My strategy, it's called the PPC Fortress strategy. And the background behind this is I wanted to think of an analogy. So pay-per-click, we have all these different placements that Amazon offers us for pay-per-click. And if we're not using all of these placements, we can think of our business like a fortress. There's walls around the fortress, and if we don't have all of our walls properly solidified, competitors can find weak spots and they can scale the walls and attack our keyword rankings and our sales. But if we view our PPC strategy as a fortress and we actually solidify all the walls, meaning we have complete coverage, we need to be using every single placement that Amazon allows us to have. The reason we need every single placement is if we're not bidding on placement and keywords using those placements, our competitors can come in and they can bid and they can get cheaper clicks and cheaper sales, and they can gradually start to overtake our organic rankings. Amazon pay-per-click sales impact organic rankings, so we need complete coverage in order to solidify our spot. So in this video, there's going to be a hidden link that's a bonus for people that are really paying attention. I will have a link that goes to my PPC Fortress framework, and you can have a free access to this framework if you find this link inside of this video. It's going to be hidden somewhere in the video, so look out for that. This will give you a breakdown of all the different placements so you can make sure your fortress has complete coverage, okay? Very important stuff. So we run our ads year-round to keep our fortress secure at all times. Every dollar that we spend for ads, we shouldn't view as an expense to our business. Our ads should be yielding money and profit back. The more we spend, the more we should make. That is assuming that we are spending within reason, of course. A general rule of thumb is if you're running pay-per-click ads for your Amazon sales channel, about 10 to 15% of your daily revenue should be going back into ads. If you're going over 15%, it's likely you're spending too much on those. However, if you're profitable, I mean, by all means, you can pump it harder if you want to. I just will say, though, that from what I've seen, from looking at a lot of stores, talking with a lot of PPC managers, what we shoot for generally is under 15% of daily revenue, just to keep our cash flow in check. And that's just a normal level that you should expect. Why do we run ads year round? Because the ads, the more aggressive we are, the more sales we get through keywords, it's going to help our organic rankings. That's where most of your sales and most of your profit will come from. And pay-per-click is just a way to fuel that fire. We're just throwing gasoline on the organic ranking engine that's going to drive profit. Amazon gives us two ways essentially to get sales on their platform. There's organic placements, meaning placements where somebody's searching and we're ranking without having to pay for the placement. I'm going to put on the screen an example of an organic placement. How can you tell the difference between this and the other type? The second type is a paid placement, a sponsored ad placement. And Amazon has been rolling out a bunch of different sponsored pay-per-click placements over the years. Sometimes they're easier to spot than others. Here's a couple examples. This is one that appears in the search. When you search a keyword, you'll see a little thing that says sponsored next to it. There's also sponsored placements inside of the listing itself. There's many different spots where these can appear. And there's also different placements that appear only on mobile. Being right now, as the time I'm shooting this, sponsored video really only appears on mobile. Sometimes you'll see it on desktop, but not very often. Sponsored display are the ads that appear in the sidebars when you're opening product pages. These can also be some off-Amazon retargeting placements, but primarily the benefit is placements on product pages being your own products as well as your competitors. You can use this offensively as well as defensively, which is something that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to. The two aspects of product display ads. Sponsored brand ads, also known previously as headline search ads. These are really powerful placements where we can actually customize the text that is appearing in the advertisement. These are the ads that appear at the very top of the search when people search on desktop and mobile, so they are available in both. And there are some customizations that we can make. We can actually upload custom images and make it really stand out. So if you have partnerships with influencers, you have professional photographers, you can get these images and you can insert these into your headline search ads as a custom image. And this is an optimization point that I see a lot of people that even are 7- and 8-figure sellers just not paying attention to, which are some of my actual best converting campaigns. These campaigns where I actually have high quality images and I insert them into the headline. So that's one that I'm going to talk about a little later when we get into creating the campaigns. Before we do that, let's go into all the essential terms that you guys need to know before we get started with actually creating the campaigns, analyzing and managing campaigns, all the advanced stuff, okay? So when you're running ads, a lot of people focus on this term called ACOS, advertising cost of sale. And this is essentially the ratio of how much you spend versus how much revenue you drive from your pay-per-click ads. So you want this percentage generally to be lower so that you're making more profit. So if you have a lower ACOS, say you have a 5% ACOS, that means that you spent 5% of the revenue that you got from the sale to acquire that customer. The lower that is, the more profits left on the table for you. But I will say this, lower ACOS is not always better. We can always make our ACOS lower just by bidding less. Sometimes you'll see people post screenshots that say, I achieved a 5% ACOS with $1,000 of spend over the last 6 months. That's not necessarily a good thing. It probably means that they could have been more aggressive. They could have gotten more sales and ultimately had more profit. For my fortress strategy to have long-term success with my campaigns, I understand that the Amazon pay-per-click marketplace is auction-based. So there's going to be people entering the market with new products. They're going to be bidding aggressively to try to take ranks away from me. So what I do is I just stay aggressive year-round. I keep the bids aggressive. Obviously, my campaigns, I get a good CTR. That's the next term I'm going to talk about. But if you have a strong bid, you have a strong CTR, then Amazon is going to give your ads preference, and you're usually going to win the auction, and your fortress is going to be like really strong all year round. So even if new competitors enter my market, I'm bidding aggressively. I have good CTRs, so it's really hard for them to do that, and they usually fizzle out. So for you guys that are focusing on reducing ACOS, that's probably going to be a tough battle when there's new people entering the market, because ACOS is always going to get more competitive as more people enter. If somebody enters the market and they're optimized just as well as you, but they're willing to have a higher ACOS, they're usually going to win the auction. They're going to bid more than you, and they're going to take the rankings from you gradually over time. So the next term that we're going to talk about is CTR. We want to optimize CTR. We also want to be aggressive with our ACOS if we can afford to do so, because that gives us long-term wins at the auction. CTR means click-through rate. That is the ratio of how many clicks you get on your listing versus how many impressions that advertisement got. So you're advertising for a keyword, say lavender essential oil, and a CTR, if the CTR says like 0.3%, that means that out of everybody that saw your ad, 0.3% clicked on that ad. And what is a good CTR to shoot for? That's a question I often get asked. So the thing about CTR is it's going to vary really drastically by keyword, by niche, by product, and the CTR is impacted by a lot of things. So whether somebody clicks onto your ad versus somebody else's ad or onto organic listing, they're going to first look at your image. They're going to look at your headline on your product. Do those two things speak to the keyword that they've searched? So if the product's title has your keyword that you typed in it, you're more likely to click that. That's going to make the CTR go up. If the image of the product has that keyword in it somewhere and it's visible, it's going to make the CTR go up. Another example is if somebody's searching for a keyword that has your brand name in it, if they see your brand name's product pop up as an ad, that's going to make the CTR go up a lot. So in my experience, if you have the keyword in the headline and in the image, and the product that you're selling is relevant to that keyword that they're searching, you should get above a 1% CTR pretty easily. If you're not, then the product is probably not speaking to that keyword very well. If it's a keyword where you're not that relevant, you're just loosely relevant, and you're not using the keyword in the headline, you're not using it in your image, there's more of a gap there. So you're probably going to get below a 0.5% CTR. If you get above a 0.5, then you're probably very relevant for that keyword and your product just looks good. The other scenario is somebody's searching for your brand name. So say Nike shoes. If Nike's advertising, they should be getting above a 7% CTR on that ad placement, because people are actually specifically going and searching for that brand. So you should expect above a 7% from what I've seen in that scenario, where it's like a very directed search for a specific brand. So I'm just going to show you a small snippet of campaigns and just go through the columns here so you can see what's going on. So budget, that's how much you are willing to spend daily. Pretty self-explanatory, right? You can actually set inside of your account a cap for your overall account daily spend, which I would suggest doing because it can get kind of out of hand when you have like 100 campaigns with $10 each. You want to make sure that you're not going into, thousands, tens of thousands in spend per day, I'm assuming. So that's budget. It's daily, and you can set a cap inside of your advertiser settings. It's at the top of the campaign manager there. You can see impressions, clicks. So impressions is basically how many times was the ad seen. Clicks, how many times it was clicked. CTR, which I just covered. Different benchmarks to go for depending on what types of keywords are in that campaign. Spend, self-explanatory. CPC is the cost per click. So how much are you spending per click when people click on your ad? And clicks and bids, they don't match exactly. So if you're bidding, say, $2 on a keyword, that doesn't mean that you're going to spend $2 every time somebody clicks. The way that Amazon PPC works, it's auction based, and it's not whoever bids the most, they have to pay what they bid. It's whoever bids the most, they get to pay just slightly over what the next bidder was willing to pay. And it's kind of like that. I mean, there's of course other metrics that of relevancy. They're going to see who pops up and who doesn't, but it's essentially an auction based where you bid and you pay slightly more than what the next bidder paid. You don't pay what your bid was. Then you've got orders, number of orders. Obviously that makes sense. Sales, ACoS, advertising cost of sale, which I covered earlier. The other term here, NTB orders. This is something that a lot of people overlook. So new to brand orders, this is a metric that Amazon gives us access to. If I believe it might only be if we're brand registered. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you don't see this column, that means you're probably not brand registered. Very important thing that you do. You should do that. NTB orders. So how many orders through this campaign were first-time purchasers of our brand, at least as far as Amazon is concerned. They don't have any information that this person's bought from you before. Percentage of orders NTB. So you can see I have a lot of NTB orders here, not all of them. Let me just move over a little bit more so you guys can see this. And they basically are breaking out what percentage of your orders for that campaign are new to brand, how many sales, like revenue-wise, were new to brand, and what percentage of your overall sales were new to brand. Your numbers new to brand are going to get lower and lower in comparison to the rest in the campaign if you have a brand where people buy many things from you. If they buy the same product many times, they subscribe, they buy other products in your catalog like they do for me, that makes these numbers go lower and lower. But in your case, if you're somebody who's just selling like a one-off product or you don't have a brand properly set up yet, you're going to have really high new to brand orders because the only thing they can be is new to brand if they've never bought from you before. So this is some valuable information to have. As you gain more loyalty, you're going to see these numbers go down because there's just more customers that will be searching keywords and they'll come back and they'll buy from you again. Really not that many useful ways to use it, but it's interesting just to know that it's there. So you can check it out and see how those change over time. Any ad platform that I'm on, I like to keep things as simple as I possibly can. There are a lot of very complicated pay-per-click daily management trainings out there that will teach you to use bulk actions, upload spreadsheets, do everything by spreadsheet. And that's not the way that I do it. I don't think that that is necessary to manage PPC because really what you need to break it down to is what are these spreadsheets doing that you cannot do through automated ways or manually, because I don't find that these spreadsheets are actually saving time. It's actually just overcomplicating things with no real added benefit. So the best way to manage your campaigns, in my opinion, is to keep things simple. And the structure that I'm going to go over for how you structure your campaigns is designed to essentially achieve three things. The first thing that we need to achieve with our pay-per-click campaigns is we need to make sure that all the keywords that we want to get impressions for, we're getting those consistently. If you make things too simple, the way you organize your campaigns, you won't get impressions for a lot of keywords. So that's a problem we need to be aware of and look out for. Example, if you put 5,000 keywords in one campaign, you're probably not going to have enough budget to go to all of those. And you'll notice that Amazon actually just won't allocate budget to a lot of these keywords. They're going to pick a few and they're going to put all the budget there and they're going to ignore a lot of them. So we need to keep this in mind and split up keywords enough so that we can get impressions across all of them. The second thing we need to pay attention to is, are we getting an ACoS that meets our target? And we can control our ACoS by adjusting bids up and down. If our ACoS is getting really low, we can try bidding more to get more impressions and sales. If our ACoS is going too high, we can bid less. And there's software that allows us to automate this so that we don't have to use spreadsheets to go in and bulk update bids. There's software that can do this for us. The third thing that's extremely important with our management is, are we going in as we run campaigns, are we finding new keywords that work through our campaigns that are discovering new keywords, our auto campaigns? Are we going into keyword tools fairly regularly and finding new keywords that we can add? You don't have to do this all the time. If you do it right up front, it's very unlikely you're going to find that many more keywords, to be honest with you. So doing good keyword research, getting that done right, and then going in occasionally, adding new keywords as as you see fit, as you have time. The goal of all of this is to be continually optimizing our campaigns as they run, removing keywords that aren't working, bidding less where we need to in an automated way with software, and then adding new keywords when we find there's keyword opportunities that we are not targeting. So those are the three things. And if you can do those three things, it doesn't really matter how you do it. You can do it with bulk spreadsheets, but the way I'm going to show you is designed to be simplified so you can do it manually. You don't have to be a spreadsheet guru. You can start plugging in some rules to optimize what you're doing with software. And then when you're ready, you can hire an agency and they can do more ongoing maintenance for you. So let's cover the easy stuff, campaign structure, and then we'll get into campaign keywords. Where do we find our keywords? How do we build our master keyword list? And then we'll start actually setting up some campaigns so you know how to set up your entire fortress, all these new placements as well. So let's get into that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is portfolios. This is going to help you organize your campaigns by type. And the way that I think about it is I have three different types of portfolios. The first type that I have is for auto campaigns. So auto campaigns are campaigns where you do not select keywords. Amazon will look at your product, how it's optimized, and they will go out and they will spread their tentacles around and try to find placements where they think that you can get sales, hopefully profitably. That's the idea, right? So those are auto campaigns. I put those in one portfolio bucket. The second type, manual. And this includes a lot of different placements. So there's anything where you can insert keywords and match types, that's a manual campaign. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in here. This is where most of your campaigns and management is going to be taking place. The third type, I call them PATs, product targeting ads, basically sponsored brand product display ads. And the reason we set this as a separate portfolio is these are targeted primarily based on ASIN. There are some other targeting options in there too, but it's primarily based on ASIN. So you're actually getting to choose which products your ads display on. So that's why I separated into three separate portfolios. Now let's talk about what goes into each individual campaign here, okay? So scrolling down here, for your auto campaigns, you're going to have one auto campaign running at all times for every single ASIN. That means every single variation as well. You want an auto campaign for every single product that you have in your store, separate campaigns. So if you have 100 different variations, that's 100 different auto campaigns, ideally. You don't need to have a lot of budget. This is for discovery, and this is to find placements that your other campaigns just aren't picking up the slack on. So checklist here. The auto, you have one per product variation. Okay, broadly speaking, that should capture any questions that I think you guys will probably present to me. The second type of campaign that you want, this is one campaign really, but you can break it up into 2 or 3. I call it a capture all campaign. Capture all campaign. And the purpose of this campaign is to include every single product in your store in one campaign, set a very low bid so that you can capture any very cheap clicks that your other campaigns aren't picking up. And for whatever reason, I found that when I have a capture all campaign and I set a bid at say like 0.5 cents, I'll actually get extremely profitable results from these campaigns, and I'll get clicks for like pennies in the capture all campaign. And it doesn't really make sense why this works, because you would think these clicks would be going to these other campaigns, the other auto campaigns where you're bidding more. However, if you put every product in your store into a capture all auto campaign, you can actually get really great results if you set the bid super low. If you find that you're not getting any clicks with the 0.05 bid, meaning a 5-cent bid, you can actually increase this to like 10 cents. And if that's not working, increase it to 15 cents. But you don't need to go much higher than that. You should, in most cases, every case I've really seen, if you have one of these 3 bids and you're going to start low, you're going to have really profitable results from this fairly quickly, and you don't need a huge budget to do it either. Test it with $15 a day. Even if you have a huge store, just report back after a month. Let me know how it worked for you, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good result. A lot of people aren't using this campaign. This is a very valuable auto campaign. So let's go into manual campaigns. Okay, so before I go into manual, let's actually talk about the naming conventions for our campaigns, okay? So when you name your campaigns, the goal is to make it so you can easily find what the campaign is, what product it relates to, what that campaign is accomplishing. So what I'll do is I'll say product name. You can actually use an ASIN if you prefer. So product name, and then you say auto. That's really all you need to do for those. As long as you know it's an auto campaign and that's the product it relates to, you're pretty good for that. If it's a capture all campaign, I would also add something like capture, just so you know. When you search your keywords, you want to be able to find it. For your manual campaigns, the naming convention would just be pretty much the same. Product name. And then you would say, what type of manual campaign is it? Is it a sponsored video? Is it a sponsored brand campaign? Is it just a manual keyword campaign? So you could say, if it's a keyword campaign, you would say keyword, and then you would just leave it like that. If that's enough to give you enough information to do it. Sometimes people will want to name their campaigns based on match type and have every single campaign have a distinct match type. So if you were somebody that wants to do that sort of method, you would say keyword, phrase, then you'd have another for broad. So these would all be separate campaigns. Exact. And if this doesn't make sense to you, match types, I'm going to get into that very soon here, so don't worry. So that's how you can organize your manual. It's just basically product name, keyword campaign, or if it's a sponsored brand, sponsored video, and then you say the match type if you want to. You can also do match types within the ad sets inside of the campaign. That's another way to do it. It's kind of an option, up to you how you want to approach that. And those are the naming conventions. That's how you structure your campaigns. The PAT ads, so the sponsored brand product display ads, where you're actually showing your product on other listings. However you want to define this, because there's a lot of different naming conventions Amazon has used across their various ad platforms, but what I like to do is just refer to them as PATs, and I say product name, PAT, and then whatever the targeting type is for that PAT. So there's like category PATs, there's ASIN level PATs, so there's different targeting that they give you I'm going to get into. But basically on a basic level, you just want to be able to find them when you're ready to go in and make tweaks so you know how to find these campaigns. And organizing it like this makes it so you can see all the campaigns for every single product very easily. So if I were selling a 2-ounce lavender essential oil, and that's one of the products in my store, I want to be able to type that product identifier in and see all the campaigns that I'm running for that product at any given time. And I also want to see which placements are performing, which ones are not. Maybe some need more work than others. So this is just an organization convention, and all of these different campaigns, they're going to live inside of your account, as you can see on my screen, as separate portfolios as I do here. I have auto, manual, and Pats, 3 separate portfolios, and then there's a bunch of campaigns underneath every single portfolio. So let's get into how to set up your auto campaigns. This is going to be very simple. I've pretty much already covered the capture all, but I'm just going to show you a brief overview on my screen here. So inside of your campaign manager in Seller Central, you go to advertising, then you select campaign manager. These are the 3 options that you will have when you are brand registered. Extremely important that you get brand registry because it gets you access to sponsored brands, sponsored display. But let's first talk about those auto campaigns that you need to set up and how we're going to be using these auto campaigns. Create your auto campaigns. You first click continue. So let's do that. Then what you do is you would just name it. So products, so product 1, as we mentioned in our naming convention, auto. You're going to do this for every product in your store. Portfolio, you're going to select your auto campaign portfolio. So in my case, I'd just go here and I would say CPC auto campaigns. Start today, end date, no end date, daily budget. You can just set this really to whatever you want. I mean, for new products, $20 a day is usually sufficient, even if it's very competitive. You don't need to spend all that. You can always do less than that. That's completely up to you how much you want to do. Just keep in mind our daily budget limitations. Generally, we want to spend no more than 15% of our revenue on ads. And if you're a new store, you have no revenue, you're probably like, okay, so what do I do in my case then? Just set it to $10 a day, $20 a day, wherever you're comfortable starting, get some data back. The point is to just kind of get the ball rolling, start getting some sales, some clicks, so you can get some ideas on which keywords are working, which ones are not. So daily budget, we'll just set as 10. Auto targeting is what we're going to be selecting. For the bids, this is a question, and there's a lot of different opinions on this. My personal preference that I've seen work very well, dynamic bids up and down, just leave it there. That's perfectly fine. If you want to be more conservative, you can do down only, but really all my campaigns are running on up and down. And I have run tests doing all the different types, and I find up and down just gets me a better result. So that's what I do. Ad group name, not that important for auto campaigns because we're just going to have one ad group. So we can just name it whatever we want. Product. Generally, so if you have a manual campaign, you are going to organize this perhaps by match type. So I would say something like broad, or I would say phrase, or I would say exact, or I would say broad 1, broad 2, broad 3, and have separate ad groups for smaller clusters of keywords. In auto, we don't select any keywords. We don't really do anything. So it's just going to be named whatever you want. Doesn't matter. I skipped the part where you select a product, but essentially you just select one product. Keep it nice and simple. Don't do more than one product per auto campaign except for your capture all campaign. So select one individual product variation. And then for default bid, what you're going to select, this is really, there's really no guidance whatsoever on what to do here. Start this at like $2. Run it for a couple days, come back after 1 or 2 days, see how it's performing. If you're getting an ACoS that's astronomical for a new product, you're going to expect some losses up front for new products because new products, you have no reviews. Your review rate is basically 0 when you have a new product, right? So you have to get the ball moving. You have to start getting some sales into your product. And your reviews are going to come in and your conversion rate is going to go up gradually. You're going to notice that your auto campaign is going to perform better over time, assuming that you're getting decent reviews, right? So really just start it at a level where you know that you're going to get impressions, and then you can gradually dial this back over time using the rules and the bid adjustments that I'm going to be covering in the management section later. For negative keywords, so negative keywords, this allows you to select keywords that you do not want your auto campaign to target. We are going to be adding negative keywords in here later as we manage our auto campaigns. For now, you can leave it blank, or if you want, you could add your brand name as a negative keyword so the auto is not spending a bunch of money on brand related search terms. It's really up to you though, but generally speaking, just leave it blank for a new campaign. $2 bid, that's going to be aggressive enough probably to get you all the clicks you need to test and start getting some data back. So let's just hit launch campaign, and then that's all you need to do to select and create your auto campaigns. You're going to do this for every single product in your store. After you've done that for all of your products, you're going to create a capture all auto campaign. And the purpose of this campaign, again, is to get very cheap clicks and conversions for any placements that your other auto campaign or other placements might be missing. So everything for the setup is the same, except what we're going to do differently is when we get down to the product selection section, which obviously I'm going to not do here, what you're going to do is you're going to select every single product in your catalog, every single variation. And after you've done that, the other difference is for the auto targeting default bid, instead of $2, we're just going to do 5 cents. So we set the default bid to 5 cents, very low. We will probably get clicks for this. If you're finding that you're not getting any clicks whatsoever, and it's going to be very minimal, keep in mind, you're not going to spend your entire budget. No way you're going to spend $10 per day unless you have hundreds of products. And if you're noticing you're not getting any impressions, any clicks at all after a couple days, what you would do then is increase this to 10 cents and then take it up to maybe like 15 cents at most. I wouldn't go much higher than that, but give it some time. Make sure you test some data because this is a very profitable campaign. You just have to do it at the right bid level for your niche, and you should start getting some impressions, clicks, and very cheap conversions. If you take one thing from this training and you're not doing this, try the capture all campaign and you might be surprised at the profit you're going to get back from this. So after that, really simple, you're just going to launch the campaign. So now I'm going to go over the manual management and interpretation of search term reports for your ads so you can actually monitor and improve your auto campaigns as they run. This is also going to inform you on harvesting keywords that you can take from the auto campaigns. And what you're going to be looking for are keywords that are performing well, number one, and you're going to take those keywords and you're going to plug them in to manual campaigns. So you want to see which ones work. So auto is going to be sort of like a discovery vehicle for your products and finding new keywords. The second thing you're going to be doing is looking for keywords that are performing very poorly, and you're going to add them as negatives. So to get to your advertising reports, you just go in Seller Central, you click reports, you go down to advertising reports, and then you're just going to create a report, and what you're trying to do is create a sponsored products search term report. After you create that report, open it up in Excel. Then when you have the Excel file open, you're going to see the portfolio names that you've organized these campaigns under. So you can just make it so it includes only the auto portfolios, for example, to make it easier to interpret the data. But really what you want to do is go to your campaign names, and you're going to isolate by auto campaign by product, because you don't want to do all of this optimization at once if you're doing it manually. You want to isolate the product and see how that product's auto campaign has performed. You're going to look at which keywords performed well, which ones did not perform well, and you're going to do various actions based on what you see here. So go in, select one product, and then what you're going to do is look at a couple pieces of data here. So this is going to tell you which search terms customers found your products through your auto campaign. So as your auto campaign is running, it's going to be placing your product in various keywords on product pages, all these different places on Amazon, and then Amazon's search term report is going to tell you where that placement actually was when the click took place. Your auto reports are going to be filled with these product ASINs. What you can do with these product ASINs is identify products that are opportunities to advertise on. So for the campaign types that we're going to talk about after auto, where you actually have control over where your ads appear, and you can target your ads on particular ASINs, this auto report can be valuable to identify opportunities, placements where you can put your product profitably. You are not permitted in your autos to add ASINs as negative exact keywords because these are not keywords. So there's really no application for improving the autos and excluding where it's going to show up as far as product ASINs are concerned. But you can exclude which keywords your product goes and appears on. So you're going to see a mixture of product ASINs. You're also going to see miscellaneous keywords. And what you want to look for is go to the ACOS column, and you're going to sort the ACOS column, and we're going to try to identify keywords that are performing well. And what we're going to do for example, on this keyword here. So 31% ACOS, $270 of spend, and the keyword was lavender essential oil for face. And what I want to do with this is I want to no longer target this keyword in my auto campaign. The reason is the auto campaign is for discovery. We've discovered a winner, and we want to take that winner out and no longer target that winner with the auto. We want to target that winner with a manual campaign. So I would take this keyword and I would add it as a negative. So when you go back into your auto campaign, there's a field where you can enter in negative keywords. I would enter this in as a negative exact keyword so that we're no longer targeting it. Then I would put this in a separate campaign of discovery keywords, winning keywords that it's a manual placement. So when you go in and we make manual placements after this auto video, you would take this keyword and you could even make a separate campaign of just winners, or you could plug it in to one of your existing manual campaigns. You can also use this keyword for all your different placements. You can use it for sponsored brand headline placements. You can use it for video placements. Use it for anything that has a keyword that you can enter. You can take this winner and it's probably going to perform pretty well. The thing that you want to pay attention to here is spend. So you'll notice on my screen here in the spend column, some of these keywords don't have very much spend. I have 85 cents of spend with a 4% ACOS. And that's not enough data, that's not enough clicks to really inform me of whether this is a good keyword or if it was just a fluke. Sometimes if you have like a customer who goes to Amazon and types in diapers and you're selling lavender essential oil, they'll buy the lavender essential oil just by luck. And that doesn't mean because you got one click and you got a sale that that's a good keyword that you need to focus on. It's probably just a fluke. You need enough data. So in my example here for lavender essential oil for face, I had $270 worth of spend. That's quite a few clicks. It's proven itself in the market over many clicks and a lot of spend. So it's a good indication it's going to work. However, for some of these where there's 1% ACOS and there's like a couple dollars of spend and even just a few clicks, you can see here 1 click, 3 clicks, it's not enough. So what you want to do is actually spend, probably up to the product price. So if your product's like $24.99, don't make any huge decisions on keywords until you've spent like close to the amount that the product sells for in clicks. Just a rule of thumb. And I really there's not like a set rule for it, but it's going to be at least like 10 clicks. So if you get under 10 clicks, I wouldn't make any huge decisions. Look to make sure that the column of clicks says over 10 clicks. Just a rule. I mean, there's a lot of different opinions on when you do this and different risk thresholds, and people have varying opinions on this, right? But if it's under 10 clicks, it's probably not enough to really make any sort of informed decision on that keyword. 18 clicks, 24 clicks, these are performing pretty well. So I would probably also add these and basically just add them as negative exacts and then extract them and make manuals. And that's how this works as a discovery vehicle. And the reason we really want to take these out is we want the budget for the auto discovery to be allocated to finding new keywords that work. We don't want it to go all to these keywords that we already know work, because that takes away the purpose of the auto campaign being a discovery campaign. So pretty easy to manage these. That's essentially all you need to do. And there's software that can do keyword harvesting based on rules. So if you wanted to set rules in these software, a basic rule of thumb would be make sure that there's 10 clicks and the ACOS is within your threshold. So if 10 clicks and ACOS is 35% or lower, then take the keyword, add it as a negative exact, and then put it in a manual campaign. You can set these at different levels based on your situation, but that's just kind of a way that I look at it for my particular business. So now that we're doing our manual campaigns, we have to, of course, do some keyword research. And this is the basic process for doing that. Of course, you're going to be getting keywords from your auto campaign discovery, like I mentioned in the previous section here. But for the other keywords that you're going to have for your initial campaigns, this is going to be your manual targeting, as well as your videos. Anything that has a keyword, we have to enter it. You're going to have to do research, okay? And you have to build this thing which I call a master keyword list, an MKL. That's how I'll refer to it. And basically the process is open up an empty spreadsheet, go on Amazon, find your top 5 highly relevant competitors, 5 is just a rule of thumb. If you want to do more, that's perfectly up to you. Reverse engineer which keywords they are currently getting results for, and we can use tools to actually figure this out. I'm going to go over how to do that, okay? Manually go through. If your list has way too many results, you just want to make sure that you're not targeting things accidentally, so a manual sweep is recommended. Then what you're going to do is run a search from scratch and find other things that this reverse engineering process didn't uncover. The tool that I'm going to be using to do this is Helium 10. Here are some codes if you want to use that. Of course, I get commission for it, but I use this tool myself. So if you want a discount, you can use Ryan50 off, or you can use Ryan10 off to access that. Let's go to Helium 10 and find our keywords relating to our top 5 competitors. I'll just show you how to do that live. Okay, so I went to Amazon. I found a very well-established essential oil product. And what I did is I took the ASIN, copied it to my clipboard, went over to Helium 10's Cerebro tool, which is a reverse ASIN lookup tool, and I entered it in here. What this is going to do is tell us all the keywords that they have indexation for, and you can use the filters to actually determine keywords that are good keywords to target. You can actually find keywords that they are getting results for as well. We want to know which keywords are driving sales for these products so we can target them with our pay-per-click ads and then hopefully get organic rankings as well through these keywords. So I entered in this ASIN, and the first step I do is I reduce the word count to 1, so I capture every keyword even if it just has 1 word. If you don't change this, the default is 2, so you want to move it down to 1. And then for Amazon's Choice badge, Amazon's Choice is rewarded to 1 product per keyword, and it's generally the one that is most likely to get a sale for that keyword. So if a keyword and a product are a good match, that's probably because that product has been getting sales. We want to know which product or which keywords this product has gotten sales for, so naturally, if we find all the Amazon's Choice badges this product has, that's a good place to start. So let's just start there. Hit apply. You'll see there's 356 keywords that they are Amazon's choice for. They're also ranking organically very well for a lot of these keywords, and it's a substantial amount of searches. What you can do with this list is you can go to export, and you can actually either copy it to your clipboard or you can export it to Excel, CSV, take this list and add it to your master keyword list. Then what you're going to do is delete this out and do it again for 4 more products, just so that you have a really good breadth of keywords. The reason you have to do it multiple times is not every product is optimized and ranking for the same keywords. People have different optimizations, and you want to make sure you're just capturing everything. You're going to get a pretty lengthy list once you break all this out. You're going to have a lot of keywords. Probably the Amazon's Choice alone is going to go into maybe the thousands for this particular product. After you're done with the Amazon's Choice analysis, what you also want to do is remove that option to select that, and we're actually going to find the keywords that they are ranking well for. If a product is ranking well for a keyword, that probably means that they're getting sales for that keyword. So it's a good place to target for PPC ads. You want to target keywords that are likely to produce results first, right? So between organic rank 1 to 50, let's find every keyword that they are ranked in the top 50 positions for. It doesn't really matter search volume because you can target as many PPC keywords as you want. So we don't need to do a search volume filter. Let's hit apply. Okay, so what we have here, 3,700 keywords. You can target all of these with your PPC ads. There's really no limit on how many keywords you can target. Of course, it's going to be a lot of manual work to go through and make sure that these are all relevant. So there's 2 approaches really. You could go through 3,000 keywords and delete all the ones that you don't think are relevant, or you could just take the entire list and work with that. In my personal opinion, this is a lot of keywords to go through. So what I would do if I saw 3,700 results is I would probably narrow this down a little bit further. I would narrow this down to like the top 20. So let's do that. That cuts about 2,000 off of it, so it's more manageable. Your PPC master keyword list is probably going to be into the thousands. There's a lot of keywords for some products. You might have a product where there's not that many ways to find it, in which case this will be significantly smaller. So if you're not seeing thousands, that's okay. This product sells a lot. It's one of the best selling products on Amazon, and it's going to have a lot of indexation and keywords as a result. So then what I would do is I would take all of these keywords, export it, and then we're going to add those to the list. So you're going to have your Amazon's choice keywords, and then you're going to have the keywords that the product is ranking well for. And if that goes into the tens of thousands or over 5,000, then you probably want to narrow that down a little bit more to make life easier for yourself. And that's essentially the process for doing PPC related keyword research using Cerebro. You're also going to be using a tool called Magnet, and then let me just show you briefly how to use that. And this is very basic stuff, guys, right? What you would do is you would type essential oil. And let's just try with essential oil, okay? And this is going to return a bunch of different keywords that other products that are similar to this are ranking for and indexing for. Okay, so we got back 17,000 keywords. What we might want to do is, instead of having 17,000, which is overwhelming, and that's probably not going to have, it's going to have a lot of garbage keywords in there that you don't need. So what we need to do here is narrow this down to the ones that are likely to produce results if we don't want to manage this many keywords. So what I would do is I would do search volume 100 minimum. Let's see how that narrows it down. Okay, so minimum search volume 100, that narrows it down to 7,900. It's still a lot. So if you're finding that this is just overwhelming and a lot of these high volume ones are already covered, so if you go by search volume, you might see some in here that are useful. A lot of these are probably not going to be, like the example of the keyword tea. Narrowing it down to one word keywords is probably going to produce a lot of irrelevant results. So keep it on 2, hit apply. And that narrows it down further, but still not quite enough. And if you're finding that you're still in the thousands like this, another thing that you can do is, instead of using Magnet, is you can go back to Cerebro and you can run multiple ASINs. So what I did is I took 3 of the best-selling essential oil blends. I combined them here into the Cerebro tool, so we can actually run a search for all of these at the same time and find keywords that all 3 are performing for. So that's another way to narrow it down. So let's do get keywords. New search. So there's some filters that we can apply that actually look at all the ASINs that we searched and try to find like the average rank. So this filter here, competitor rank average. What we can do is enter this as a range between 1 and 10. So if the average rank of all 3 competitors is between positions 1 and 10, then we're going to put that keyword on our list here. And also we can find ones where the at least 2 of the 3 are ranking. You could also just do all 3 are ranking, but sometimes there's like one listing that's not optimized very well, so you want to put this number somewhere in between the number of how many you enter and 0. In my case, I ran the search a couple times before resuming the video, and I found that 2 produced pretty good results, and then if I required all 3 to rank, then I didn't get very many results back. So 2 ranking competitors, competitor average rank between positions 1 and 10, and we hit apply there. And we can see here there's 212 keywords where out of the 3 competitors, at least 2 of them ranked, and the average rank was between positions 1 and 10. Okay, so you could take this list and you could add this to your PPC list as well, and these keywords are probably going to perform pretty well for you if you have a similar product. And that's how you do your keyword research, guys. You take these keywords of your top 5 competitors, you try to build out this list as best you can running Cerebro searches. If you need a little bit of extra help or you feel your competitors aren't optimized, also run a magnet search, combine them all together, and then just take these keywords and we're going to start plugging them into our manual campaigns. So this is my PPC Fortress framework. You can see all the different placements here. What I do is I insert my ASINs and then I go through my list here and I add a check once I have it covered. And this is how I make sure I have complete coverage for the Fortress. We've already gone over the automatic SP sponsored products, but we've also got various manual campaigns based on keyword, based on ASIN, based on category. We've got sponsored brand, which I abbreviate as SB, various sponsored brand campaigns, which you need brand registry for, based on keyword, category, ASIN, Custom image and video, those are the two very important ones. And then we have various sponsored display targeting as well, which I will cover briefly. I'm going to cover the most important ones here because we obviously can't just go on forever and it would just be too crazy. So let's get into the manual SP, and then we'll cover a couple of the more important ones, and that will be it for today, guys. So let's get started with that. Okay, let's start making our sponsored products manual campaigns. These are the most generic, easy to make campaigns. You don't need brand registry to make these. We're also going to use those keywords that we pulled for some sponsored brands campaigns in a little bit, but let's get started with this one just so I can show you the basic settings. So as you remember, we have our portfolio. In my case, it's manual campaigns. And what I would put is I would put the product name, keyword manual. You could also put, if you want to organize it further, you could put SP for sponsored product, keyword manual. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that. For me, keyword manual, I kind of know like that's what it's talking about. Daily budget, let's just put 15 for this example. Manual targeting is what you want to select. Dynamic bids up and down. Of course, there will be people watching that don't like up and down, and they'll say that it doesn't work as well, but just remember everyone's case is different. And from my testing, I found that this works better over the long run. So results may vary, of course. Let's go over the ad group name here. So let's organize our campaign based on match type. So for this ad group, we'll just call it broad. And I'm just going to blur out my products here, obviously, and I'll just select one. We'll go down a little bit further. And what we're doing is keyword targeting. So as you can see, there's also product targeting. These are product attribution targeting ads. So that's how you create a PAT ad, which I mentioned in the framework that I showed just a moment ago. So when we want to create PAT ads, we click this, and we can select individual products, or we can select categories. And let's go to the framework and I'll show you. So PAT manual, we have by ASIN, which would be individual product, and we have PAT category. As you can see here, those are the two ways that you create those. If it's targeting individual products, what you can do is just enter a list of ASINs to target. You can get those ASINs from your auto campaigns. You can pull from your search term reports, and you can find ASINs that have previously worked. You can also use Helium 10's Chrome extension. It's an ASIN grabber that when you click it, it will be called an ASIN grabber, and you can go to Amazon and you can search for keywords and you can pull all the ASINs. That's a little bit complicated for this video, but just know that that's one quick way to grab ASINs if you wanted to use that. But the topic of this video here, the topic of this discussion here is keyword targeting. So let's go to keyword targeting. And what we're going to do is we are going to enter a list. And because we're starting with broad, the thing about broad is you have to have an understanding of the match types. I'm going to show on the screen an explanation of how the match types work, and so you can understand. The thing about broad is it's very risky to have a huge list of broad keywords because the keywords can essentially be in any order. So it's generally better to start with an exact or maybe even a phrase and then move into broad to experiment once you have some proven winners. Broad is likely to spend more budget, and it's going to target a lot of these unrelated keywords that you might not even be able to imagine it would target. So start with exact, paste your list that you've narrowed down from our keyword research, and then what you're going to do is you are going to launch the campaign. Then you're going to add another set of keywords for phrase, and then if you have the budget and the risk tolerance, you can add another set of keywords for the broad. And here's an example of a campaign where I did that. I created additional ad groups based on match type. You can see I have one for phrase, one for exact, one for broad. And what you're going to notice when you download your search term reports is you're going to see that there are keywords that you have added that you're not really getting any impressions for. So let's click into this one and I'll just show you an example of this. So I only have 18 keywords here, and essentially what you're going to see when you run this, if you paste in like 2,000 keywords, you're going to see a lot of keywords that have 0 impressions. And that's because Amazon does not have the budget to do it, and also they just like to optimize where they think it's most likely to produce results. When they have 2,000 keywords in an ad group, it's just not going to work well for whatever reason. That's just the way their system works. So what you would do in that case, you would take all of those keywords where you have 0 impressions, and you could make a separate campaign, and you could call it something similar to what the name was that we previously had for the campaign. And this could be just excess keywords. So add in more keywords for sponsored products and just keep doing it until you notice that most of the keywords you're trying to target are getting impressions. So it takes some time to do this, especially when you have thousands. But in most cases, people just have hundreds. So you could do this with about 3 to 4 different campaigns. And it's even a good practice if you have like keywords that you really want to focus on, maybe a list of like 10 to 15 keywords like you see that I have here. If you want to make sure that all of them are getting as many impressions as you can, make the group smaller and smaller and smaller. So the smaller the number of keywords in a campaign, the more likely it is that keyword's going to get impressions and spend. Okay, so that's how you create the campaigns. So basically you organize them based on match type, and you try to split out the keywords as much as you can to ensure that you're getting impressions. That's just the creation. These manual sponsored product campaigns are very easy to make. The thing is, you do have to do ongoing maintenance. So you're going to have to do rules in your account. You can use software to do that. So some software that exists out there, Zon.tools is one. There's also PPC software by Helium 10 that isn't fully developed yet, so I'm not 100% sure I can recommend that just yet. Zon.tools works pretty well for running these rules, so that's one that you could check out. And inside of my PPC Fortress framework, I have a breakdown of what those rules are. And basically what you want to do is you just want to apply those rules so that, let me just go back here. One of those rules was if you have 1 or more orders over the last 7 days and your ACOS is greater than target ACOS, so if your target's 35 and you're getting like a 40% ACOS, then what you're going to do is you're going to decrease the bid by a certain amount. And I actually have a comment here that goes over how much that amount is. So you're either going to decrease it by 5%, 15%, or 25%. You don't want to do huge decreases. The name of the game really is minor decreases over time until you find points of equilibrium to achieve the results that you want. So you want a 35% ACOS. What you're going to do is just decrease your bids gradually until you get to that point. Either it will get to that point, or what will happen is your bid will dip so low that you just end up getting no impressions and no clicks because your product's not relevant, which is fine. If we can't make a keyword work, that's fine. Our rules will take care of it, and eventually it won't have budget allocated because the rules will decrease the budget. We have a upper bid limit of $5, so the rules that increase bid, they're not going to increase it above 5 if you set that into your software that you're running. Your lower bid limit of 5 cents, the bid could be decreased all the way down to 5 cents. And what you'll find is a lot of these keywords that aren't performing, they have high ACOS over weeks. Your bids will just keep decreasing until eventually it just stops getting impressions, which is fine if you're going to lose money. But in 90% of the cases, what this is going to do is it's going to give you a point of equilibrium if your product is actually well optimized for these keywords that you're targeting. So that's one of the rules. And make sure you read the notes in this framework. And what you're going to also notice is I have stop losses. So if you spend more than $25 on a keyword and it has less than 1 orders over a 7-day period and over a 30-day period, what we're going to do is we're going to decrease bids quite a bit. And it's just going to keep decreasing bids until those keywords either spend very little or they spend nothing at all. The other option that you could take is you could just remove this keyword and delete it. I prefer to be a little bit more aggressive with my rules. I like to let things kind of ride, like let the money ride on the table for a little bit longer. So I'll do decreasing of bids rather than deactivating of keywords if I have the choice to do so. The other rule here, increasing the bids. So just make sure you read the comments in this spreadsheet that I've given you access to here. So let's go into Amazon and let's go over how to create sponsored brand campaigns. These are very important campaigns. Some of my best performing campaigns are inside of here, and I'm going to show you which ones you should really be focusing on, okay? So for the campaign name, we're going to say product 1, sponsored brand, and we're going to be making video campaigns. We're also going to be making sponsored brand custom image, sponsored brand keyword, sponsored brand category, ASIN, all these different ones. I'm going to go over the main ones here though. So let's just say sponsored brand video, okay? Budget $15 per day. And you'll see here, video beta is an option. This is a very powerful campaign, guys. If you don't have a video campaign running, you're really missing out. So I would check this out. Basically, there are rules for the video that you can upload, which we'll go over, but we're going to select one of the products in my brand. I'm obviously just blurring everything out. Let's go down to the video. So what this is going to do is it's going to run a video ad. Primarily, it's going to appear on mobile. The video has specific rules. They have specifications. You have to adhere to these, okay? Be under 45 seconds long. The aspect ratios have to match what they say here. And I find that product demo videos work very well. So find somebody who can shoot a high quality product demo video for you. My program that I teach, I have students, I refer them to various agencies that can shoot really high quality videos for actually discounted rates. But in your own case here, whoever's watching this, if you do have access to that, I would check out my recommended agencies for that. If you don't have access to that, there are many video production agencies out there you can start to investigate. The thing is, the video quality will drastically impact the results. So if you have a low quality video, if you just throw together some kind of slideshow, you're probably going to find that these videos don't work very well. If you have a high quality video production agency that can do these videos, they work extremely well. So when you upload your video, they're going to give you the same ability here to target by keyword. And you're going to do the same exact approach that we took for the manual campaign that we just created. For our initial bid, I like to just start with aggressive bids of like $2, and then I gradually have my rules adjust and work their way down. So if I start my bid on all my exact keywords at $2, if that's getting impressions, if that's getting ACoS, it's going to increase or decrease bids based on the rules in my framework. And I'll also do, phrase and broad separately like we talked about. And that's essentially the same. It's the same process that we take for the other campaign. We just have to upload a video. And I would really strongly suggest, guys, that you check out sponsored video. Okay, let's talk about some of the other sponsored brand placements that are really powerful that I don't see enough people using. So if you go into your ads manager and you actually go to sponsored brands, so what we'll call this one is product 2 sponsored brand headline custom creative CC. And you'll see what I mean. Custom creative. I'm going to put this in my manual campaign here. Budget up to you as long as it's within your max allowed daily budget. Just make sure you're budgeting accordingly, right? Product collection. We'll just do new product page. This one's fine. What we're going to do is select a few products. I'll just pick 3 products. And then what this is going to do is it's going to enable you to make your own custom creative here. And for brand name, logo, you're going to upload your logo. You're going to put your brand name, obviously. For your headline, you can actually test different headlines, and the headline has a huge impact on the CTR and whether this campaign performs. And I'll give you guys a tip. One of the headlines that performs the best for me is customers are raving about this XYZ. So whatever your product is, say customers are raving about this product. Obviously can't do the capitalizations there. And customers will see this display on Amazon when they search, and they'll actually take it to mean that Amazon is recommending this product. So if you say customers are raving about XYZ, it's a really good way to sort of cheat the system in a way and get people to click and want to buy your product. Maybe gray hat, not 100% sure, but I think it's fine. As long as they allow you to say it there and they approve it, fine, as far as I'm concerned. Custom image beta. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So include a custom image. You should definitely select this, and for the images, you can actually add your influencer's images here or your photographer's images here, and it really makes it stand out, particularly on mobile. I notice a huge CTR and conversion bump just by having a custom image there. It looks so much better when you upload it, and I'll show you an example of what this looks like. So I just took an image from Google. Go to canva.com, and you can actually just match the parameters that Amazon requires for this. So if we just look at 1200 by 628, so I go to canva.com, I create a 1200 by 628 canvas, I insert the image, I download that image as a PNG. And then I upload that image to Amazon, and you can see when somebody searches for my keywords, my ad's going to appear like that, and that looks way better than if that image is not uploaded. And I'm telling you guys, if you have quality images, this makes a huge difference. It can actually completely turn around your headline search ads, so check it out. And for targeting, I just do keyword targeting, use the same keywords that we used in the other examples. This is just another placement that I'd highly recommend you guys check out. Okay, now we're going to talk about sponsored display ads. There are a few other sponsored brand placements that you can see in my framework, but those are the two main ones I really wanted to cover. Sponsored display, there are two aspects to sponsored display if you want to really capitalize on this to the most that you possibly can. There's offensive sponsored display, meaning you're putting your product on your competitors or other places where you're likely to get sales that are not your own products. And then there's defensive sponsored display. So if you're building a brand, if you have several products in your brand, you want to be advertising on your own listings and making sure that when people browse on your store, on your products, they're not clicking off onto your competitors. This can also raise awareness that you have a product portfolio. It can increase the number of products people buy per transaction, and it's really just good for a cross-pollination of products to do defensive sponsored display as well as offensive. Sponsored display, we'll just call it product 1, sponsored display, defensive. Okay. Daily budget for defensive, you don't need that large of a budget really, unless you have like a really huge amount of impressions on your products, like you have a massive brand. So we'll just put like 25. Ad group name, doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do here is we're going to select product targeting and enter list. So the product that you're going to advertise, you're going to select the product you want to advertise first. And then you're going to do products to target. So that product that you wanted to advertise, you are going to target that wherever you want. You can actually pick specific ASINs. And because we're doing defensive, you want to pick products in your own catalog. Enter your own products ASINs here. This is a defensive campaign, so it's just going to be targeting products in your catalog where you think this product is likely to be of interest to your customers. So pretty self-explanatory. I can't make like a rule for every single brand, but say you have an essential oil brand and you're selling essential oils that promote sleep. You might want to do a defensive campaign where you have a lavender essential oil targeting all the ASINs in your catalog that relate to sleep. If they don't relate to one another, you could even try it and there might be some sales there just because of the brand awareness. Really the main purpose of this is to gain awareness for your catalog and to prevent your competitors from taking that spot, taking sales from you. So that's why it's defensive. The only difference between defensive and offensive is for offensive, you're going to be entering your competitors' ASINs or places you think you can get sales for this. You can get these ASINs from your search term reports. You can see which product ASINs your product has converted into sales on. And you can also use that Helium 10 Chrome extension that I mentioned way earlier in the video. And that's product display ads. And the last type of sponsored display ad that I want you guys to try out is, but the only difference is you select audiences instead of product targeting, and you can actually retarget people who have visited your pages on Amazon, which I believe is over the last 28 days, and you can hit them with the products that they viewed again. So standard retargeting, you don't have much visibility into who it's being shown to, and you don't have any control really, but it does give you some visibility outside of Amazon to retarget, bring people back, which has gotten some results for me. I'll say it hasn't been phenomenal. The other campaigns that I previously mentioned are the ones that are getting most of the results. So if you're spending time on campaigns this year, I would focus on video. I would focus on those headline display, so testing different headlines, testing different images, and then some sponsored display. Make sure you have defensive and offensive set up as well as retargeting. All the other ones, most people have already established in their accounts. I noticed there's a lot of people who are actually selling substantial amounts on Amazon who aren't using these campaign types that I've mentioned. So we've been going a long time. This is probably the longest YouTube video I've ever done. I hope you guys have gotten value from this, and I really hope above all that you go out and you try it. If you try it and you get results, please come back, let me know. If you didn't know about some of these placements and you want to get started and start using them, also let me know how that goes for you, and just type in the comments, let me know that you're going to do that. So maybe I'll make more videos if you have follow-up questions on this topic. Of course, the PPC Fortress framework is available inside of this video if you looked for that link. If you liked this content, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when I make new videos, and of course I have my program, brandboostblueprint.com, where I actually help people grow e-commerce businesses to substantial levels. And my name is Ryan Rigney. Hope to see you guys soon.